So this evening is about successes, the awards, the stories, the promotions, the careers, and all should serve as a reaffirmation that everyone's work, from the entry-level accountant 3 to firefighters, accountants, mechanics, chief officers, communication specialists, everybody's contributing to our mission, and that will outlast me, but it won't outlast them, the people that we're here to protect and the people that we're here to serve. So I want to start this off just by recognizing that piece, that the service that we do here will outlast us as civil servants and the people that are coming into our organization, and those that we're honoring now as they leave and talk about the outstanding successes that we've accomplished. And the stories that we're going to talk about are just a few pieces of that. So at this point, I'd like to bring Mayor Condon up, and he'll share a brief opening and little insight into the political world. Right? Thank you.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to be with all of you tonight. Tonight is one of 3 nights every year, and which is always very important. We start the springtime with the State of the City, which we've been doing over the last couple months, and actually we'll be doing it another month. But we finish kind of the formal time of recognizing all of those in our workforce as part of the city that make that State of the City and the things that happen over the last year actually possible. So it's great to be with all of you tonight, like we are, and it really is talking about, as we see in the joint strategic plan between the administration and the city council, this endeavor to make our community safer, smarter, and healthier. And tonight and tomorrow night, as we sit in the same room with our police department, the two, and especially tonight, is so integral to that being a reality, of being a safer, smarter, and healthier community. And we're going to recognize many that make that possible, that take the ideas, the programs, the initiatives, the projects that make up that strategic plan, but actually bring them to life. And so I want to first start by saying thank you to not only those of you here that are going to be recognized, but as I know many of you would say, all of those that you work with day in and day out at one of our fire stations or in many other places. But of note, and I'll just touch on a couple of them, and the innovation that is coming out of this department, whether it be the Behavioral Response Unit, addressing an issue that is grappling this country, of working with our citizens that are inflicted with mental health issues or unfortunately drug addiction or co-occurring events, but the innovation that you have seen in this and bringing that forward in a way that the country is watching you to see how is it implemented. I was just a couple weeks ago in Austin, Texas, and believe it or not, they didn't know I was in the crowd, but there was a psychiatrist that was looking at a new program that they were doing there and talking about Spokane and talking about how these sorts of units and how we're meeting the needs of the most vulnerable in our community. Or whether it be the true emergency, medical emergencies that you're preparing for, and to have paramedics on 24 hours a day throughout the system, and what that means to those that are in cardiac arrest, those that are suffering from a stroke. That's the level of experience that we now have throughout the system. It was recognized, obviously, in 2018 as the Heart Safe Community Award from the International Association of Fire Chiefs, and it's such a critical issue as we talk about true emergencies and being in that community that truly is safer, smarter, and healthier, and how do we address those issues, and you're such an integral part of that. You know, I participated in it not this last year, but for several years I served on the Red Cross board. And I remember the first years as I was sitting there in a church in the Logan neighborhood and starting to look at how do we put smoke detectors in the prevention. It's exciting. This year, some 119 of those detectors went into the West Central community. But what's more exciting to me is the reality of engaging the community, not only with other agencies like the Red Cross, which of course the fire family has been part of the Red Cross family and mutually so for decades. But more importantly, how you're involving literally the neighborhoods and the citizens that live in those in a way of addressing needs in those and seeing truly as really an asset to those communities, not only in the time of emergency, but in preventing those emergencies. We've also spent a lot of time on youth in the last several years, and to see the Junior Fire Academy where hundreds of children from all over the city are learning fire safety and doing it in a way that is engaging them. There isn't a day go by. I just finished, if you didn't know, it was Dr. Seuss's birthday, and Read Across America happens, and I read in many of our schools. And I will admit, there probably isn't a school I haven't been in where they're looking right past me on wondering where the firefighters are or the police officers or where that really cool firehouse is. And that side of excitement is palpable as you're there. You know, these are all parts of the larger strategy in the city as we look at these issues in a strategic way. And I just have to say, as we continue to be a learning organization and as we pilot things, that it's always a way of a commitment of being an organization that is continuing to innovate, that's continuing to learn, and often comes with a lot of ambiguity, that comes with a lot of time of understanding what is working and what is not working. And I just want to thank you for your commitment to continuing to be part of that integrated solutions, the integrated teams that come together. As I look and see other departments across the country, you are over and over again at the tip of the spear of pushing those limits and looking at the next issue that is facing communities in a way that is open to that level of innovation and willingness to be a learning organization. You see it over and over again, and it's not lost on me that we have this event here tonight in this facility as part of a complex of continuing to hone your skills, continuing to get better at what each and one of you do, which ultimately leads to be that safest city of our size in the Intermountain Northwest. From life-saving measures to prevention to community education and everything in between. So it's exciting to be here tonight. It's humbling as it always is, especially to some of our community members that will be recognized tonight, but also to those of you that have been part of this team and continue to come to work in a way. And it was exciting also to see many of you there last night at City Hall amongst the non-uniformed that were getting their awards and listening, and you being part of that and having such an impact on our city family itself, not just within the department, but truly throughout the city organization. I may have mentioned that the fire department seemed to sweep the house last night down at City Hall because we were recognizing, but rightfully so, because of that impact, not only within the fire division, but throughout the organization, and being willing to lead in many different innovative practices that impact all of the city organizations. So again, thank you for being a part of that. Thank you for being part of the strategic vision of this community of being a safer, smarter, and healthier community, because it truly is through all of that that we become the city of choice in the Intermountain Northwest. So congratulations, and it's great to be here this evening.
It's my opportunity and a delight to introduce our new Deputy Chief of Training, Rex Strickland. We could definitely clap for him, seriously.
Good afternoon. It's certainly an honor to be here in front of all the troops, and we're excited to honor them in advance, as well as the retirees and our citizens. So as we get started, I wanted to introduce our president of our Local 29 Firefighters Union, Tim Archer, 18-year veteran.
Mr. Mayor, Chief, distinguished visitors and guests, my name is Tim Archer, and I'm the president of the Spokane Firefighters Union, Local 29, and it is my honor to be here to represent the union in showing respect to our retirees and awardees. And you retirees, you are the foundation that we stand on. And I tell people coming on the job new, what distinguishes us from other fire departments and other organizations? And it is to be better and faster. So initially, that's not too hard a task. I remember working for Lieutenant Borg here, who's retiring, and we were doing a mask drill that's timed to put on your SCBA, and I thought, well, beating this old fart isn't going to be too tough. So we line up next to the rig, the timer says go, he shoves me into the rig and throws his pack on. The lesson of that day was sometimes to win you have to be creative. So I get to be creative now with the new guys, and I appreciate that lesson. For our awardees, we have a Valor Award tonight, and when I think about Valor, I like a quote from General Omar Bradley during World War II. A reporter asked him during an interview, "How can you order men to their deaths every day?" And his response was simple. He said, "It's not about life and death. It's more important than that." And I believe when you accept your mission and when you realize that it is something bigger than yourself, when the opportunity comes, you will conduct yourself with valor because you realize that it is more important than your life. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the chief and we will give some awards.
Okay, I'd like to introduce the 2018 video recap. So if you...
When Spokane firefighters rolled up to this apartment complex on Pine and 2nd Avenue, they saw smoke and flames coming from the corner unit on the 2nd floor.
I'm like, oh my heavens, what in the world's going on?
Vanessa Souls was out running errands, surprised to see dozens of fire trucks outside her home.
The fire started around 3:30 this morning and it moved fast.
Crews got on scene, tried to get inside. The fire conditions were such that they couldn't make a safe interior attack. We withdrew and went to a defensive operation.
For hours, crews spraying water from above and on the ground.
Well, firefighters, of course, are called on to put out fires, but they also help people having medical emergencies. And they are increasingly called on to deal with another issue, mental health-related calls.
It's why last month the Spokane Fire Department actually rolled out a behavior health response unit.
The program now staffs one paramedic who is paired with a licensed mental health counselor.
Once they've established that this is a behavioral case, the mental health counselor and the paramedic will approach the client and they'll just start dialoguing with the individual to try to find out where the individual is in terms of their own life and what needs they might have.
We get one more round of applause for Dean. He's, thank you. Dean Pierce is in the back part of the training facility. He puts all that stuff together. He's absolutely magical and has much more creativity than just about anybody else that I know. People are shaking their heads that have been here year after year. And Michelle, thank you. I was asked to kind of put together a list of accomplishments from 2018 and realized that this is coming on top of everything the mayor mentioned, everything that you saw in the video, the calls for service, which those incidents, although there were 44,000, the responses that resulted from those incidents were more like 70,000. 70,000 responses, almost 130 a day in the city of Spokane where people's lives were in jeopardy that were impacted by this organization. It's an incredible thing to think about. The things that are in the background that I listed as some accomplishments. One was with our EMS group, a clinical checklist that we created for the entire county for all the EMS agencies in our response area. We developed a strategic communication plan. We recruited, selected, trained 2 recruit classes of new firefighters. We recruited and selected and promoted 2 deputy chiefs. We held our 2nd annual advanced leadership course for the leadership that are upcoming in our organization. And for the first time, we have something, thanks to Chief Strickland and the training staff here, a training plan that I can honestly be very proud of, that is proactive and comprehensive, that includes all of our different specialties, and for the first time puts it heads up in front of our people so they can actually plan. Although we lost an absolute incredible asset with Chief Walford, we also have an opportunity, and we're engaging a consultant to do some recruiting for us for that position. We started last year and should have that finished up by the end of the first quarter. The mayor mentioned the BRU. The BRU comes with funding from Providence, and that sat primarily with Mike Lopez again. That put together a grant and sold it to the Providence board. And I'm looking at Dusty Patrick here with our IT group, with the amount of data that they capture and the people in the back of the room, the firefighters that input that data, that take the time to do it right. We were actually able to justify ourselves above hundreds of other applicants to be able to get that grant to put the BRU in service, because we truly believe that we can make an impact in people's lives and save the healthcare system money. And we're continuing to evaluate that. We received 2 engines. We ordered 3 additional engines. We took what we call our Quinn apparatus to the next step and actually empowered those people with the right number of people on the fire truck and the right tools on the fire truck to be able to do their job safer than we ever have before. And we also added 4 ARU units, which, thanks to the logistics division and both of the division chief and the deputy chief that are responsible for that, and our maintenance group, in-serviced them and had them rolled out in a very short order. So it's just a couple of ideas that are off the top of my head, and the resulting work from that our people in the field get to enjoy, but there's a lot in the background that most people don't know. We have a lot of talent in our organization, probably the smartest and the most mission-focused group that we ever have had before, primarily because we've got different generations. We've got 3 generations in our organization right now that are all providing work in some aspect of what we do. It's a very exciting time for us, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. So I want to thank you for letting me be a part of that, and now I'll go ahead and turn the page, Chief Atwood, our new support services chief, come up and we'll review the retirements and honor those folks.
Wanted to thank Chief Schaefer and Tim both for kind of stealing my thunder as far as what I was going to say when I got up here. So now I got to just build on that. So thanks, guys. It is an honor and a privilege to be able to present this portion of the program, to be able to recognize the men and women that gave years and years of service, dedication, courage, sacrifice above all else for this organization. And I will say that from my perspective, as Chief Schaefer talked about, that work that outlasts all of us, they've left an indelible mark on this organization and created that legacy that builds on that foundation that Tim talked about. And I think in addition to that, has made an impact on our community, made it safer, made it a place that everybody wants to come and live and enjoy and know that they can just live their life and know that there's a great group of people out there that have their back. So to not drag this on, I'm just going to go ahead and read the list of retirees. I know there's a couple of them here. Captain Greg Borg and FEO David Murphy are both here. If somebody else is here I didn't see, I apologize, but I'm going to read your names off. Please come forward. We have a token of our appreciation, and Chief Schaefer will help hand those out. Battalion Chief Dave Hayworth, Fire Marshal Mike Miller, Captain Kelly Smith, Captain Greg Borg, Lieutenant Jamie Newcomb, Lieutenant Jerry Shaw, Fire Equipment Operator David Murphy, Firefighter R.B. Smith, and Clerk 2 Bob Cubbage. And I see Kelly here. I apologize, Kelly. I didn't see you before. And I guess Captain Borg is going to say a couple words.
I'm not sure, but I think I might be the last baby boomer on the job. Is there? I've been a firefighter for 44 years, 40 years on this job, and it was fantastic. I loved every minute of it. It's the best job in the world. And thanks to everybody and for the department to supporting us, and to the union for all the benefits that they've earned for us. And anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Greg's actually the last left one employee to actually retire, and just to lighten up the mood a little bit, when I first got hired, we were going through a pretty significant layoff in the organization, and there was a lot of tension between labor and management, and Greg was union president, and he could have been a really big jerk with me, but he called me up one day and just asked me if I had time. And he had just purchased a new car, I think, the Audi, the red car, that goes like 100 bajillion miles an hour, and it'll flip you back in the seat when he hits the gas. But he took time out of his day to take me around, first time in Spokane, and we went station to station to station, and actually closed station to closed station to closed station, talked about some history, and really spent probably the most impressionable 3 hours of my time here in terms of the history and what makes the Spokane Fire Department the Spokane Fire Department. You're not going to find that type of a person in industry. You're not going to find that kind of person working in another job. This isn't a job to Greg Borg. It's a passion, and I've appreciated that the most about Greg, and I do appreciate your words, and you definitely left your mark on the organization. Thank you. Go ahead.
It's kind of hard to beat all of that. So congratulations again, and to all the retirees, enjoy what's next in life. You've definitely earned it. With that, I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief of Operations Mark John, and he's going to recognize the promotions from 2018.
Greg, thank you for that. It's tough to follow. Hopefully I can keep it together. But like the chief said, I truly admire your passion and the passion of the rest of the members in the department. It is remarkable what goes on here every single day, and I'm thankful to be a part of it. So I have the distinct pleasure and honor to introduce the promotees from 2018. These are truly the future leaders of the organization, and I look forward to seeing how they'll contribute to our future success. And like the chief said, it's wonderful to take these opportunities to celebrate our successes. With that, the first individual I'll introduce is Deputy Chief Jay Atwood. You've got to get your photo op. Yeah, there you go. Next, Battalion Chief Mike Bacon. Is Mike in the room? Okay. Captains Ty Bruner and Paul Peterson. Lieutenants Mike Walker, Nathan Cover, and Bill Grummins. Give them a round of applause. Fire equipment operators Eric Regalado, Jeff Ridlon, Brian Underhill, and Bradley Bowers. Fire Marshal Megan Phillips. Assistant Fire Marshal Lance Dahl. And our last promotee, Deputy Fire Marshal Keith Hoffman. Thank you all. With that, I'll give it back to Chief Strickland.
Congratulations to all the promotees. I happen to be the luckiest one out of the bunch with two of the best captains on the street, and it's a great honor to have them as part of our team. So thank you. So next up, we're looking at the contributions made by our department members. The risk is real every single day. As someone that was a part of a water team, there are some things that I love doing. Water was one of them, but certainly the water is one of the most unpredictable places that we could be. And, you know, getting dumped into a water, especially under the circumstances that I'll describe here in a minute, with a person that is having a challenge of their life is a significant issue. So I'd like to bring up members of the water team: Isaac Anderson, Jeffrey Webb, Nate Powell, Clifford York, Mark Donanis, Michael St. Almond, Mike Colesrud, and Eric Miller. Will you guys come up, please? So on the morning of July 3rd, SFD companies were dispatched to the TJ Meenock Bridge for a report of someone standing on the railing of the bridge looking to commit suicide. The Swiftwater Rescue Team was deployed into the river to strategically place themselves out of sight as to not entice the person to jump, but also close enough so that they would be able to get the person quickly if he decided to jump. SPD did their best to try to talk the man down from the railing. But an hour and a half on the scene, the man jumped into the swift-moving shallow waters, and the Swiftwater team sprang into action. They fought the current, quickly located, and pulled the man from the water. Their skill, organization, and quick action to get the man and pull him into their boats in a fast-moving current contributed to this person surviving the incident and making it safely out of the water. Congratulations. They will receive a special unit citation for their act of bravery and commitment to the mission. So I think it's important to mention that this particular incident is a great example of how the agencies combine together in a unified manner with the police department and the fire department to make a difference in someone's life. An hour and a half is a long time, but certainly it made a big difference in the outcome of this gentleman's life, so thank you. Next up, Community Citizen Life Saving Award, Dustin Kutila. So Dustin was working construction at home with his wife and using a chainsaw. And while using that saw, it kicked and hit his wife in the lower leg, causing a critical laceration to the bone in her anterior lower leg. The leg wound was life-threatening, and Dustin immediately used his belt as a tourniquet with pressure on the wound, and he successfully stopped the bleeding 100%. Engine 17 arrived, took over with ALS care, including pain control, and the patient, his wife, was transported with the fire department medics, and surgery was necessary to remove or repair the laceration. Dustin was undoubtedly responsible for saving his wife's life. It's important to mention Dustin's background. Over the years, we've learned a lot of lessons from the military, and grateful in doing so in regard to stopping the bleed. Dustin just so happens to be a Air Force SEER veteran, and that training certainly made a huge difference in keeping the family unit together. So congratulations, Dustin. Next up is Joshua Dietzel for the Citizen Community Life Saving Award. Firefighter Joshua Dietzel of Fire District 4 was working at the Tomato Street when an 85-year-old female choked on her food and went into cardiac arrest. Joshua responded immediately and started CPR. Pulses had returned as the fire department was arriving. Resuscitation protocol started, and ALS efforts continued all the way to the hospital, where the patient was admitted in serious but stable condition. Congratulations, Joshua. You made a huge difference. Next up, Mark McGree, the Citizen Community Life Saving Award. On the evening of October 26, 2018, crews from Station 4 responded to a report of cardiac arrest at the Masonic Temple Ballroom. Station 4 entered the scene to find a male down near the front of the ballroom where a wedding reception was being held. As you can imagine, the scene was very tense and emotions were running high. As the fire crews began initiating care, an out-of-state, nationally certified paramedic, Mark McGree, with A1 ambulance with Butte, Montana, was currently providing care for the individual in distress. As SFD medics began initiating advanced life support measures, Mr. McGree provided a thorough and knowledgeable assessment. Mr. McGree continued to assist fire crews with treatment until patient was transported to the hospital. It's an opinion of all crew members that night from Station 4 that due to those actions, his relative was able to walk out of the hospital a few weeks later. Congratulations. Next up, Blaine Holland, Tyler Ferris, and Ted Winecoop. On Friday, October 5th, 2018, Blaine Holland, Tyler Ferris, and Ted Winecoop came up on an accident on Highway 2 where a 36-year-old male was impaled by an I-beam post that had been shot up into the air and came through his windshield, hitting him right in the upper right abdominal area. He had a significant intestine evisceration by the pole. Blaine, Tyler, and Ted kept the patient calm and, best of all, kept his intestines clean and intact while EMS were arriving. They took their shirts off and used them as a way to keep the patient's intestines in place. These three people were involved in an action that was above and beyond what a normal citizen could ever be faced with, and they acted heroically. Congratulations. Sir. The next award is a Community Service Award, and it's to Pull and Save North. The employees of Pull and Save North have made an outstanding contribution to the Spokane Fire Department by providing their facilities to facilitate vehicle extrication training on a repeated basis. Carlos, the manager, has always gone out of his way to facilitate our requests, whether last minute or months in advance. He and his staff have set up complex accident scenarios at their facility that mimic real 911 calls, allowing our extrication units to become highly proficient at patient extrication, vehicle stabilization, and equipment handling. In 2018 alone, they opened their doors to allow 150 hours of Spokane Fire Department training. This does not count the hours they have allowed the surrounding districts to use their facility as well. Many of those hours were used to train the Quints, which recently acquired extrication equipment. The impact that Carlos and his staff have had on SFD and our potential future accident victims is immeasurable. Carlos and your staff, please. So that's a real big deal. They have a lot to do at their facility every single day, and to be able to take time away to set up the training is really pretty significant. Today's vehicles are an extreme challenge. The materials that they build into those are significant and have required us to increase our ability with the tools that we have. The high-strength steel, the boron, all of it is a challenge, and we can't do that in the back parking lot. So thank you to Pull and Save for your commitment to us and our mission. So one last award here is to Rob, actually two additional. Rob Cheapy is getting a Community Service Award on October 29th. Rob, are you here? All On October 29th, Mary Ellen Dottie was walking her dog, Mac, off-leash in the Kendall Yards area when Mac disappeared over an embankment. Mac had been missing for about 2 hours when Code Enforcement Officer Rob Chappie, thank you, Rob Chappie, heard someone across the river yelling about a dog struggling in the swift current. Officer Chappie was able to traverse the steep hillside terrain and pull the very tired dog from the water. Mac lost the use of his rear legs from all the exertion surviving the river. Officer Chappie and Dottie's adult son then took turns carrying Mac, a black lab who was 12 and weighed 80 pounds, back up the steep slope. The owner took Mac to the vet where x-rays thankfully showed no sign of serious injury. Mary Ellen Dottie left a voicemail stating, "It's really heroic and way above and beyond the call of duty." And she wanted to simply recognize him. So congratulations to Mr. Chappie. That was a pretty remarkable task. Oftentimes we look at a situation like that, and the bigger picture to that is the risk of our citizens going in after their beloved dogs. So his ability to intervene and ensure that Miss Dottie's son didn't jump into the river is pretty profound. So congratulations to Mr. Chappie. Next up is Udell Viel for a Community Service Award. At approximately 23:30 hours on the night of May 25th, 2018, fire crews responded to a reported structure fire at Residence Court at 1203 West 5th Avenue. The structure was a 3-story commercial apartment building with heavy fire coming from the second-story window. As fire crews began making their way to the fire room, they encountered an individual who advanced a house lead and was applying water to the fire room from an exterior of the apartment. This individual kept the fire in check until fire crews were able to make entry and extinguish the fire. The individual, Udell Viel, was exposed to a large amount of heavy smoke and had to be transported to the hospital via AMR. His selfless act was instrumental in the successful outcome of this incident. We weren't able to make contact with Mr. Viel. However, congratulations to him at making a difference.
Thanks, Rex. I'm officially the closer. Thanks, everybody, for coming and sharing this evening with us. Thank you, Mayor Condon. Thank you, President Archer. All of our retirees, especially our community that supports us on a day-to-day basis. We do have refreshments out in the lobby area, just on either side of the exit, and you're welcome to stay as long as you'd like. I think we have our museum open as well. So thanks again, and we'll see you next year.